I say, okay. So if I just hit share, then it'll share my laptop. Okay. All righty. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. Um, Presidents is one of those things that nobody wants to be. You know, uh, it. I think it's probably the easiest for a club because if you have good members, they should be doing almost everything for you. You're just kind of like an administrator. You're the guy that's just kind of guiding things as you go along. Okay. So one of the things as I do this, if you have a question, you ask it then. Don't wait till the end. And if you want clarification, um, just ask. So I'll see if I can um, get this to come up. Can everybody see it?
All I
Oh,
see is you.
Yep, I just see you also.
you don't see my,
Just your smiling face.
oh, let's see.
Usually when you say share, then you have to pick, just click on the screen that you want to share. I think.
Do you know where that's at then, Mike? Or
So I share. Oh, hit screen, share screen.
yep, share screen.
Your screen. There you go. There you go.
All righty.
Good job.
You can see I'm a pro at this. I do this once a year, whether I have to or not. Okay, here we go. So,
You have to, Mike.
yeah, I know it. And I enjoy doing it. That's not the big deal. So the objectives in all of this is to know and understand what your job is and all the little nuances, what's going on, the duties of your position, how to plan your year. It's kind of tough to do since we're halfway into your year. So technically, we do this at convention for the new presidents who are coming in, but maybe this will be a good refresher for you. What your expectations are, where to find resources. The easiest place is montanalliance.org. Okay. And how to enjoy your year. The thing is, enjoy it. It's not it's not a really hard thing if you don't let it get to you. And so there's things that we're going to talk about specifically for that. Okay. So the roles of the president. Let me get rid of that. Okay. You're the CEO. Okay. You're in charge. It's your club. It's your meetings. You decide what's going to happen. You decide the direction the club is going to go. You decide who, what, where, and when. Okay. It's all on your shoulders, in essence. Okay. But if you've done it right, you've got enough chair people out there for each of your things you're going to do. They're in charge of whatever it is they're in charge of. You know, if you have a highway cleanup, you have a chairperson for that. They're responsible for it, not you. You're responsible to ensure that the highway cleanup committee has a chair, but you're not responsible for having to see it gets done, which is one of the things that happens in a lot of clubs. It's like president's supposed to do it all. And then it becomes a pain in the butt, more so than fun. Okay. You call, reside at the club, the board of directors, if you have one, special meetings. Again, these are for you. If a meeting needs to be called, you call it. Just because somebody else comes and says, hey, I want to have a meeting on this. Well, if they're a chair, a committee chair, then they can have as many meetings in their committee as they want. You don't decide those. Your chair does, okay? But you monitor what's going on. You appoint committee chair members, all right? So you can ask for volunteers. That's always the best thing to do. But it's your responsibility to ensure that there is a chair at each committee. Ensure regular elections are called and held. That's probably your biggest duty, is to ensure that the elections are fair, balanced, and proper. Our elections are all by ballot. So at my election, or at my convention, it was said, well, we'll just do it by acclamation, just raise hands. And we were told, no, it's by ballot. And your club elections should be the same way. Give everybody a chance to have their vote in secret. That's the way we work things. Attend cabinet, zone, and regular meetings. To get club presidents to zone, cabinet, and region meetings sometimes is probably one of the hardest things that we can do. One's in the local area whenever we have one attend, but you should go. And the reason that you should go is because things are discussed at cabinet meetings, at zone meetings, that you are responsible for taking back to the club. Okay? And, you know, you just might learn something. So, Mike Delaney, welcome.
Thank you.
And so, and when you attend, you're not just sitting in the back of the bus. You are expected to make a report, all right, as to what's going on. Good things, bad things, questions, doesn't make any difference. So, like specifically at zone meetings when they have them too. Okay. This is a part that a lot of people get wrong. As the executive officer, as the club president, your authority is not absolute. As what's going on right now, you're not the king. Okay. For current politics. Okay. So you have to remember, yeah, you're in charge, but your authority isn't absolute. It comes from the club as a whole. They're the ones that have the power of yay or nay. As the president, you can guide it in certain directions, but the club are the ones, the club members are the one that decide almost all issues. Unless you have a board of directors, then the board of directors will decide usually on monetary things, your budget and stuff like that. But a lot of clubs, if they'll do a budget, take it to the club votes on it, it's accepted, and now you go forward from there if you don't have a board of directors. So, but your all your power comes from the club. So how did you become president? The club voted for you. So just remember, you get it from your club's constitution and bylaws. If your club does not specifically have a constitution and a set of bylaws, then you use LCIs, okay? Which is common amongst most of the clubs. My club, we just use LCIs, okay? Some of the bigger clubs, I think one of the ones in Bozeman, they have their own constitution and bylaws. And does Ennis have their own? DG Karina? Oh.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, legend has it that we have our own, but yeah, we haven't found them in the last few years, so we're going by what International has until
Yep.
but legend has it.
Okay, Thank you, Governor. And so that's usually the way it goes. I mean, I don't know where a club would change from what LCI has. because it pretty much covers everything. But it's your club, it's your way. So you're the head of the board of directors, okay? And if you don't have a board of directors, don't worry about it. Some of the bigger clubs do, partly because they have so many members, and some of them have large budgets, and some of them have quite a bit of money that needs to be done. I know Ennis has one. I know Bozeman has one. And there's several others that I've met with that have a board of directors, but we'll get into that later. Okay. Well, speaking of that, consists of the president, the immediate past president. So just because your year is up doesn't mean you get out of it. Vice president, secretary, treasurer. And then the club votes on a 2-year and a 1-year director. Okay. So then every year you're voting on new directors. Now, these directors are not officers of the club. They are just club members. And they're there as not really to monitor anything. They're just another voice from the club, from the members.
How
Okay.
about a guiding lion?
Now, you can add anybody you want. Okay. If you have a guiding lion that's in another club, that's there to help you. And if you want to bring them into your board meetings, you can do that. Okay. So your membership chairperson, because a lot of times in the board, they have membership comes up. And then your optional members are your tail twisters, your lion tamer, club branch coordinator, if there is one. Okay. Your, what you said, your guiding lion. You know, as the president of the board, you can have just about anybody you want. Okay. But don't make it a huge thing. Okay. It's just understand what the board's responsibility is. They're going to be making decisions for the club. Okay. They make those decisions. They present it to the club. I have never seen a club not go with it, but there may be discussions after they have a board meeting, and those minutes and everything are presented to the club, because that's where the authority lies. Okay. But the directors are voted on by the club. Review and refer all new business appropriately, shape new policy. Okay, if you get what happens in a lot of clubs, somebody will say, well, why don't we do a pancake supper? And then off you go into the weeds. Okay. Some people say, well, we've done it in the past, it didn't work. Let's try in the future. I mean, you have all this discussion. A lot of times, if you had a board, okay, any new business like that can come aboard, or in the case of something that's going on, I know in Ennis, their board is dealing with a lot of stuff outside the club that the club is involved in, that each individual member doesn't necessarily need to be a part of, because the board of directors is doing that. They're making those decisions for the club. Okay. And if there's a new policy, even on when, where you're going to have your meetings and stuff like that, your board can do that if you don't want to change it. Because as the president, you can set the times and the dates and the place. Okay, but they're pretty much standard. Approve expenditures, arrange for audits. That's what I see in most boards. Okay, they look at the budget. They say, okay, the highway cleanup has a $500 budget. That's what you get. Okay, or the pancake breakfast gets $1,000. That's what you get. Those decisions are all done. And what that does is they make your meetings, your club meetings, a lot more fun, because you're not having money discussions. You're not putting, the amount out every time you want to do something. The board makes those decisions, because you'll when you attend a lot of meetings like we do as governors, you see a lot of discussion on monetary policy. That comes out of the board. It's just cut and dried. And that's a good thing to have for bigger clubs or clubs that have a lot of money. Approved financial institution bonding. Bonding is to really protect the secretary or the treasurer, excuse me, and the club in case the treasurer decides to abscond with money. Then they're bonded. And that just, our club doesn't, if I abscond with $1,000, then I've emptied the bank account and we're all bankrupt. So we don't have that amount of money and we're a small club anyway. So, but the bigger clubs strongly recommend that the treasurer be bonded. Maintain 2 separate accounts, administrative and activity. Administrative is dues and anything that the club gets paid for doing. We have an insurance agency called KW Insurance, and they do a lot for the farmers. And every year they bring the farmers in, they have a meal to thank them, and they talk about insurance and what's happening. And they ask the Lions Club ladies if they will serve a meal. And then they pay us money to do that. That's administrative money. Administrative money can be used for anything. Doesn't make any difference what it is. If you have a fund, what's that?
You have to be very, very careful though that it's not the Lions serving
Right.
that lunch.
Thank you.
It is
Yep.
it is the individuals volunteering, not as Lions, but then they're donating what they receive to the Lions. You have to be really clear that it's an individual, the individuals acting, not the Lions acting.
So
Yep.
you can't use the money to pay a lion. So Mary Beth is having some problems and she can't pay her bills. No. And she's a lion. No, that's not what it's for. But other than that, yeah, you have to be very careful. But it can be used to help fund a public activity. Okay. You could use administrative money to give to LCIF if you wanted to. Public money can only be used for the public money, period. You have a fundraiser, the public comes in and pays you for all that pancake dinner, stuff like that. That's public money. That $500 or $1,000 you made can only be sent or can only be spent back to the public. It can't be used for dues. It can't be used for pizza night for the club or any of that kind of stuff. It has to go back to the club or back to the public. Technically, all the money that you get from the public in any given year has to be given back to the public that year. Nobody's going to look. Nobody knows. Every club that I visited had money from last year. My club has money from last year. And we're just, waiting for that activity to come up to spend the money, but it all goes to the public. Okay, hopefully everybody understands that. The money can be in one account. Okay, our club has one bank account at the bank, but when you look at our QuickBooks, there are 2 separate accounts and you can see the flow of money. So let's say I have all of my dues money that we just got goes into the bank account. It looks like it's in the public money, but then in QuickBooks, I move it to the administrative side. So you can follow the flow of money all the time. You can have one account, but you have to be able to show separation from the 2 and how it's spent. So be very careful there.
I
Modify
really recommend, having been the treasurer before, I really recommend 2 accounts. It just makes it more clear. And for me, it was easier as the treasurer, but whatever works as long as you can account for it.
Yeah,
Yep.
some of the bigger clubs, yeah, they do. We're not that big. We only have one. And it takes me a little bit of time because I'm the treasurer also
Yeah.
to be sure it's
As long
moved
as you're
around.
careful and diligent with it, it's
Yep.
good.
Yep, that's the thing. So that if somebody audits you, which should be done on an annual basis, they can see the flow of the money and be sure exactly what happened. Okay. Modify, overrule, rescind officer actions. you need to be real careful here. In doing this, because most often as not, you're basically telling somebody they screwed up. But you have the authority to go in and modify, overrule, or rescind officers' actions if it's immoral, not right, and just wrong. You're the conscience of the club in this case. So you have that power to do so. You just need to be careful on how you do it. Okay. Planning a year, we'll just go through this because, like I say, we're already halfway through this year. Before you term again, you understand member motivations and needs. This is something that should go on through the whole year. Understand what's going on, who's doing what. And if you've got somebody that's been doing the highway cleanup, been in charge of it for the last 20 years, you don't want to come in at the last minute and change them out, okay? Unless they're asking. But at the same time, you don't want to turn around and tell Sam over here, oh, by the way, you're in charge of the highway cleanup. And Sam doesn't have a clue. He's not interested, doesn't want to do it. So you need to find that member who is interested in doing that. And believe it or not, that's a good way to find a new member. You might find somebody that's really interested in doing the highway cleanup because they want to help every year. Well, why not bring them in and let them be a member? So, but understand where everybody's motivated, where their needs are at. Review the club officers team manual. I don't know whether you have one or not. We had one of those. We gave them out at conventions a while back. I haven't seen them much. Kareen, have you seen the team manual at all?
I believe it's in an ebook now. I was just looking at it, so I will
Okay.
get right back to you with that.
Okay, so you'll find that through LCI probably. Participate in district events, conventions, meetings, conventions specifically. We're lucky at convention if we get a third of the clubs at convention. I don't know why people want to go. They are a lot of fun. Usually have great meals, and you're meeting people that have the same interests as you do. So and actually shows a lot of support to the district officers to help them through. But attend those meetings, participate in club officer training, like maybe doing president's training. Okay. You might even do some club officer training so that your secretary and your treasurer get extra training. You can get that through the district. Okay. And maybe your first and second vices, you might set them up for some training. Okay. That we can get through the district. Be familiar with your club standard form, which is the Constitution bylaws, which is the LA2. That's the one that you're going to get through LCI. Your district constitution and bylaws. District 37 is the same as the club's constitution. Now we do have a policy manual that we change, but the Constitution and our bylaws are pretty much mirror LCI's. And then, of course, the LA1, which is LCI's Constitution and bylaws. Okay. So get permission from the current. Again, you're right in the middle. So this would be April, May timeframe. You've just been elected the new president. You don't want to just jump in and start making changes willy-nilly. You want to get permission from the current president because he's still the current president. Talk to him, find out what's going on. And he may have some insight that maybe you don't on how the club has been working and how it's going. So, but if you want to start talking to, let's say the treasurer, and it's the same treasurer as last year. Okay. I want to talk to him or her but let the club president know that you would like to do that. Get their permission. or let them know what you're doing. Meet with incoming officers, get your team up and running. Of course, they should be up and running already because we're already into it. Appoint your chairs, committee members. Be sure that your chairs and committee members are interested in what it is that they are part of. Okay. And just don't assign willy-nilly. And have everybody July 1st, because on July 1st, as the governor knows, tag, you're it. One day you aren't, and one day you are. Just that quick.
Yeah.
And
And
And-
circling back to those ebooks for the club
Oh,
president
thank
and the
you.
bylaws and that, I dropped a link in the chat that is the
Oh,
link
good.
to those resources.
Good, thank you. Yeah, because
You're so welcome.
mine was paper. So thank you, okay. If you're replacing someone, again, talk to them. Don't take the guy or the girl, the lady that's been doing the same thing for the last 20 years and say, Sally, thanks for what you're doing, but Mary Beth over here is going to be it now. And you do this right out of the blue. No, you go talk to Sally and say, Sally, how's it going? You still want to be the chair? Yeah, I do. Would you be willing to mentor somebody new to help you do this? My military training kicks in, and I'd hate to see anything happen to you, but if something happened to you and you trained a relief, now we've got somebody that can take over for you and the club won't be hurt. What do you think about doing that? And chances are they're going to say, well, yeah, I'd like that. You're not replacing them. You're helping them train somebody new coming in to help out, just in case something happens. I mean, that's my military training. I always had to train my relief to be sure that if I got killed, somebody was going to take over. And it works the same way. Don't just crap on somebody, because that's exactly what you're doing if you boot them out the door.
Well, and that's really what International President AP Singh's Lead to Serve, Serve to Lead. That is all about mentoring those new leaders and bringing them in and then moving up to a different position. So it really reflects that as well.
Yeah. Because you might have somebody that comes up to you and say, yeah, I'm really interested in doing X. And so you get together with whoever has been doing X, who's been in charge of it, and introduce them. Get them, this is a new person they're really interested in helping out. And yeah, just work with it, All righty. Meet to discuss record keeping. Be sure that you know what it is that they're doing and how they're doing it, so that when you look at the budget sheet, okay, you know what to look at. We've had some discussions when we changed treasurers in the district. There are some people that didn't understand how the new budget sheets looked because they were different than when it was the other president. So be sure that you understand that, because again, it's your budget. For finance member minutes, committees, etc. Be sure they all understand what's going on. Be sure you knew your secretary has all past information, what to do with the new information, to be sure that the not longevity, but the continuity of the club paper-wise is maintained correctly with new officers, especially if you have a new secretary and the old secretary has been there for 10 years. Okay, that new secretary, that's probably the hardest job in the club, is the secretary. Okay, reporting board, directors, club, district, LCI. That's not really much you're going to do, but just kind of understand it. Signing authority, that's always a big one. specifically for signing checks. Your treasurer is going to sign checks usually. In our case, for the district, the governor does. I mean, in my club, I sign and my president signs. So we always have double signatures. I always recommend double signatures because it saves the treasurer's ass, from just signing a check and sending it out. Because I've done that. Signed a check, sealed it up, mailed it. I went, oh crap. I forgot to have the president sign it. So I called him up, told him what happened. And he goes, nope, that's fine. I'd have signed it anyway. I said, but I need to have you know that I did it. Okay. If you do it, own it. And usually there won't be a problem, but just two signatures. That's what we do. Okay. And be sure that's done at the bank, because a lot of times you can't do that e-doc sign at the bank anymore. Although I think you can, can't you? I think. Banks are different now. Bonding, that's the something again for the treasurer. All right, treasurer's duties. Establish two accounts. We talked about that. Be sure that you have them. Administration is Lions money. It's dues, anything you get paid to do. That is not a fundraiser. Okay. 2 years ago, we were asked by the local bar if we would help do the beer booth at the fair in Shelby, and they shared the proceeds with us. Okay. But we were asked to do this. This wasn't a fundraiser. It was a fundraiser for the bar, but they paid us to do it. So that was admin money. Last year, we did it on our own. That was not admin money. Okay. That was a fundraiser. So that went into the one account because we did it on our own. We used their license, but we weren't asked to do it. We did it on our own. So a little bit of a split there, because it sure helped our people money. So that's fines, 50-50. Anything that the club does within itself. One of the things I did when I was president of our club, at least once a quarter, we had a pie. Where you bid on it. Okay.
Auction.
Thank you.
Silent auction.
Don't
Words are
get
hard.
old.
Words are hard.
So it was a silent auction, and all the ladies brought a pie. Okay, and everybody bid on them. All that money was club money because it came from the club members. And so when you do things like that, that's just a way of getting some of your admin money up. A lot of people do the 50-50. Your tail twister does the fines, whether it's a quarter because you forgot to say Lion Sam or whatever, however that works, however the tail twister wants to do it. Okay, he walks around. If you didn't wear your pin, that's $1, Okay, activity is public money. That's all you fundraise. I think we've beat that one. Hopefully nobody questions there. And it's never used for Lions. You don't use it for a pizza party. Yeah, and clubs have gotten in trouble by doing that. And obviously they're part of the budget in the finance committee. They should submit the budget. Now, I use Quicken or QuickBooks, and it makes it real easy because it shows me everything we spent money on, how much it was, and I can look at last year and this year, and it makes a budget really easy. So I highly recommend a financial app of some kind or software. Your resources. You're not an island as the president. Yeah, you're on top of the hill on that island. Okay. But you have a lot of resources, a lot of places to go to get the information that you need. And working with officers in your committees. and not just at your club. Okay. Lions Learning Center has some really good videos, and LCI has updated them. There's some really good ones. You can go on there, and they've got some very good things on how to delegate. We talked a little bit about that. Coaching on finances, Lions University, course 123, club finances. If you haven't been to the Lions University on the USA Club, USA Canada Forum, I highly recommend it. Okay. They have 3 courses, a bachelor's, a master's, and a doctorate. The bachelor's is for clubs. Okay. And it's at that level. The master's is for district level, and the doctorate is for those that want to do things like this, do training at convention, at the Internationals convention, and other things like that. A lot of really good resources on the USA Canada Forum at the Lions University. So your agenda, understand it's your agenda. There's always been this thing that you cannot talk about or vote on things that aren't on the agenda. Yeah, that's true to a certain extent. But it's not a hard, fast rule. Okay. But you want to work with your secretary, your vice presidents, and your committee chairs prior to a meeting, at least several days prior to the meeting, so that you've gone through your agenda, you have everything on there, you have the old business, you have the new business, and it's all covered. And also have in there other. So you ask at the meeting, is there anything else that we need to add to the agenda, so that you can talk about things. So work with them. Get your vice presidents involved in this. Okay, your vice presidents should be monitoring all of these committees. That's part of their job too. That way you don't have to do it all. Review past meeting minutes. Look at the last ones to be sure you didn't miss something, because inevitably somebody's going to come up, well, 3 meetings ago we talked about this, but nothing was ever done. And you're going to go, oh, yeah, that's right. We forgot it at the last meeting. We were talking about it, and I forgot to put it on this one. Of course, it's never happened to me. Has that happened to you yet, Karina? She's smiling.
Just this one time.
It's going to happen, and it makes you look like an idiot. And you go, sorry, folks, I forgot. But review those past minutes. Okay.
I always like to have at the beginning of the minutes, at the beginning of the agenda, any additions to the meeting. And that's a way to get around, ooh, I forgot.
Yep.
So
as opposed to halfway through the meeting.
Right. Or the meeting's over and then I wish you would have talked about.
Yep. So send out your agenda prior to the meeting. Your secretary should do that. Let everybody get a chance. In today's age, almost everybody has email. Okay. That's what we do. And I know convention does that, or the district secretary does that. And why do I know that? Because I'm married to her.
She's the cute girl that lives at your house.
So, but get it out there, because you'd be surprised. Somebody's going to call back and say, well, what about this? Okay. I'll change it and put it on there right now. Have copies at the meeting, because there's always going to be somebody that doesn't have their iPad or doesn't have their phone or their computer. They just show up. Do you have a copy? Yep, I do. Here you go. You know, it's really it's a nice effort to have. Okay, this is your blueprint. LCI resources, meeting management course, Lions Learning Center. I mean, I can't tell you enough about the Lions Learning Center. They have really updated a lot of their stuff. I saw the ones from years ago, and I've gone back and looked at them, and they're all new. They're all really good. I really did enjoy them. Even the USA Canada Forum has updated all of their bachelor, master's, and PhD stuff also. So there's really some good education there. The time management techniques, I mean, this is leadership stuff. If that is an issue with you, yeah, look it up. Lions University, effective club meetings. These are things that are going to give you ideas, might give you a blueprint to follow, something to look at, to see. That's what you're going to get out of these. And procedures, it's a body of rules followed by an assembly. Okay, that's the definition. Okay, call to order, kinds of motions, debate, voting, table, rescind, reconsider motions, recognize speaker. I mean, some people really get into this. Robert's rules. Okay, and somebody's always going to beat you up with it. Robert's rules says this. Well, I tell you what, Robert's rules is a guide. It is not a rule. Okay. Following Robert's rules is good to do because it keeps things going. Okay. Robert's rules says you have a motion and a second, then you have a discussion, then you have a vote. What happens in the club? You have discussion. Oh, everybody agrees. Okay, well, I need a motion. Then there's a second, and then there's a vote. Okay, the same things happened, just in a little bit different sequence. Robert's rules says this way, but chances are it might be a little bit different. But you gave everybody the chance to have a discussion. There was a motion, there was a second, and then there was a vote. However that happens, okay? And so all of this other kinds of motions, debates, voting, I mean, you can get into it, but it's usually pretty simple. Robert's Rules of Order, okay? I keep one. When I was president of my club and when I was the governor, I kept a copy of the Robert's Rules because there were several times somebody would bring it up and I go, wait a minute, open up. Robert's Rules says this. And they'd go, oh, okay. But, and look there, you don't have to get the book like me. It's online.
Or if
Robert's
you're the
rules.
governor, if you're the governor, I think the book that you got is still in the tote for the governor.
It probably is.
Mhm.
Because it only saved me once, but I'm glad I read it. Meeting without minutes of all previous meetings. Why do I have to have those? Because somebody is going to bring up, well, 2 meetings ago or the last meeting, we discussed this. Isn't it in the minutes? And you're going to look at the secretary or the administrator and they're going to go, I didn't bring them. Oops. I guarantee you somebody's going to bring up something in the past minutes. Or you might even bring it up. Well, didn't we talk about this in the last minute? Yeah, we did, but it's, you have to have that history with you when you have your meeting. And your agenda, there's been a couple of club presidents when I was governor, and I went to meet, and he's winging it. And I'm just shaking my head going, where's your agenda? It's right here. I got it in my head. No, absolutely not. Put it on paper. Okay. You may think you got it all upstairs, but you don't. Because then somebody's going to say something else and you're going to go, oh yeah, I forgot that. Because it's not on paper. Whether you're looking at it on your iPad or your computer or your phone, okay, have an agenda. It's going to save your ass big time. Officer and committee lists. Do you know how embarrassing it is? You're up there and you're going to talk about highway cleanup and you're going to go, oh, who's the chair of the highway committee this year? If you've got it there in front of you and you're going to go say, okay, highway committee, Mary Beth, okay, you're the chair of that committee. What have you got to report? Okay. It keeps you on top of what's going on. Because as you can tell, sometimes I can't remember something. And unless it's on that piece of paper, okay, know who your committees are, who the committee chairs are. And obviously you don't forget who your secretary and your treasurer are. And this one's tough. Knowing what your club is doing, how it's doing, where things are going, you may hear rumblings of things, but be prepared to handle any issues. I can't think of any right off the bat, but you never know. You might hear things, and you might even want to handle some of these issues outside of the club meeting, because you don't want to necessarily show your dirty laundry at the meeting, but you can handle it off-site probably a lot better than you can in the meeting, because then you're not involving the entire club in something that's going on. But don't put it off, okay? Deal with it, because if you don't, it's going to rear its ugly head, and it's going to rear its ugly head at the worst possible time. So, and after the meeting, use a follow-up checklist and start working on the next agenda, because those things that happened in this agenda roll over to the next one. And if you start doing it right then and there, your agenda is already 90% complete, more than likely. And all you got to do is add the extra stuff that you're going to get through the month or through the weeks, or that come front. But if you wait until the last minute, now you've got to go back and dig out your last minutes, dig out the last agenda. You're scrambling. If you do it right from the get-go, it's going to save your butt. As the president or vice president presides over the meetings, there may be times when conflict arises. You know, it's going to happen. Somebody's not going to be happy. Something is going to rise. What you don't want to do is get into a piss and moan contest during the club meeting. If two guys start going at it, say, Sam and John, I'll tell you what, why don't you guys stay after the meeting? We'll figure this out. Right now, now's not the time. Okay? Don't turn them off. Let them know that we're going to resolve this. But right now is not the time to do it. Okay? And if they start back up again, you're the president. Say, look, I told you we're going to do this after the meeting. Be the leader in this case. Okay? We're going to resolve this, but not right now. Okay? It's going to happen. So how you handle it is up to you. Whether you want to let them go one-on-one with each other right in the middle of the club and waste a bunch of club's time and piss off some other people, that's up to you. Remember, the president or vice president is the standing authority and must understand how to manage these types of situations. That's where some of this training from LCI and the USA Canada Forum come from. They give you a lot of good ideas. They're not telling you how to do things. They're telling you how you can do things. Okay. And it's really good training. Okay. And learning how to manage group interactions, conflict resolutions. Again, this is the Learning Center. I can't stress this enough. Between the LCI's Learning Center and the USA Canada Forum. Go to these places. Watch their videos. 109, conflict resolution. You might get some ideas. I mean, everybody has their own ideas on how to do things. I don't know how much training I had in the military. A whole lot more than I ever needed. But it gives you ideas. It gives you ways to think about things that you wouldn't normally think about, possibly, unless you've been through some of this stuff. Okay. They had dispute resolution guidelines for conflicts, LCI. Committees. Appoint standing and permanent or special single issue limited time period committee chairs and members. Okay. We talked about earlier on, you're the president. It's your job to ensure that every committee has a committee chair. And if you have to assign it, you might want to think about how good that committee is if nobody wants to be part of it. You know, you may get somebody that's, look, I've done that stupid pancake breakfast for the last 10 years. I don't want to do it anymore. All right. You know, Mary Beth doesn't want to do the pancake, to be the chair. She's willing to help. She doesn't want to share it anymore. Any volunteers? Nobody holds up their hand. So you may look around and say, Sally, you've been involved in this. Would you be willing to chair just this year? Oh, all right. Okay. She doesn't necessarily want to, but she's willing because you asked her to. You didn't tell her to, you asked her to. Okay. And so after it's all over, the meeting is gone and done, you get together with Sally and say, Sally, thank you very much. I will give you as much support to help you on that committee as I can, but thank you for chairing it this year. Okay. So now she knows she's only stuck with it for 1 year. And you may, when it's all over, find out that she'll continue on because it wasn't as hard as she thought. Okay. Work with the vice presidents to select chairs and members. You know, talk to your team. Find out what's going on. Your vice president should be monitoring all of the committees and attending some of their meetings. That way you as the president don't have to. Although you're responsible for them, you're using your team members, your officers, to work with you. So, you know, find out which ones like to do what, which of your vice presidents like to do what, and say, you know, Sam, would you attend, you know, these committee meetings and then report back to me? Oh yeah, that's his job. Okay. So assign vice presidents to oversee. Oh, look what I just said. Assist, mentor, report, but not take over. They're there to listen, to watch. Now, if they have an idea, they can say, Madam Chairperson, I have an idea. Do you mind? And if they say, yeah, no, go ahead. Okay. But do not take over because they are not part of that committee. They're there just to see what's going on and report back to you. Match members' interest, skills, and knowledge to assignments. We talked about that kind of in the beginning. You don't want to assign Mary Beth, who's on crutches, to be part of the highway cleanup. It's a little tough for her to get down the road, okay? But find out those persons that are interested in whatever it is that they're doing. And you can use that as a way, like I said, for new members. You find somebody that's interested in doing that. Or you might have the pancake breakfast. I just say that. and somebody come up and say, I've had so much fun. How can I help? Great. Well, bring them on. Let them know. What did you think about becoming a lion and help us doing that way? Well, that might be fun. You might have just got a new member. Always keep that new member in the back of your mind. Okay. Because we all need new members.
Mike Delaney is the master of recruiting at events. Yep.
And you'd be surprised, okay, if you walk into a car dealership and the salesman doesn't say, would you buy this car? Do you think you'd buy the car because he has never asked you to? The problem is they ask you to buy the car about 50 different times. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be surprised at the number of people that you walk up and you say, John, have you ever thought about being a lion? I mean, you help us all the time. Well, nobody ever asked me before. Well, guess what? John, I'm asking you now, and I'll even be your sponsor. What do you think about that? Okay, let's give it a shot, So you break out your membership application, sign here, and you submit it to the membership committee. And then it gets approved. Now you got a new member. You'd be surprised at the number of people that are sitting out there are interested in being Lions. We had a young teacher, lived here in Sunburst, went to college. Now she's back teaching. I think she's teaching the 3rd grade. We asked her one day if she wanted to be a Lion. She goes, I'm not old enough. And we went, what? So I thought you had to be at least 50 years older to be a Lion. That was her assumption. And we go, no, you don't have to. She became a Lion and she brought 4 other teachers, young teachers, right along with her. We got 1, but we got 5 because we asked. You never know. You never know. Bring in some new blood. You'd be surprised at the ideas that some young people have. And unfortunately, there's a lot of clubs out there that have a bunch of old people in it. And you don't necessarily want a young person, do they, Governor? They're stuck in the way they do it. And I can tell you, when we got some of these new members, one of them was 26 years old and she became our president. And wow, what a pistol. And most of us that have been doing this for a couple of years sat back and going, yep, I'm glad she's doing it that way. I don't have to, but she brought a lot of vitality and energy back into the club. So new members, new blood.
I always tell them they should have a bus plan. If you were run over by a bus, who's going to bring this club forward?
Yep.
You got to always plan for the bus plan.
Yep. Good plan. Provide job description and old records. Susie, you're willing to do the highway cleanup? Yeah, I think I'll do that this year. Okay. Who do I call? Well, you got to call Montana Department of Transportation, let them know that you're doing it so they can put the signs out. There's a number that you have to call. There's a name you have to call. There's a time that you have to tell them you're going to do it. I mean, you just don't walk out there one day and start picking up garbage. And so unless you have a job description of what it is that she's going to do and all the information to give her so that she can do the job, you're just throwing them into the pit, say, figure it out. Well, you're not going to get a lot of people volunteer for a lot of clubs that way. Okay.
That's why if your service reports are really thorough and accurate, that will help with the next time that you have that project as well. Because
our pancake dinner, which is coming up because we're doing it, we have a file and it says how much pancake mix, how much butter, how much milk, how many eggs. I mean, so anybody can take it and run with it. And so it makes it real easy. But having that job description of what it is and the old records It's very important. If you don't have it, then you might get together with your committee chairs and say, why don't we do that? Why don't you take a time and figure out exactly what it is that makes this committee do its job? So we have something to go by. Regular reporting. We have a thing on LCI for service, the number of people, the hours spent. And that's just regular reporting and needs to be done by the secretary. That helps LCI. It helps LCIF, okay, because they take that information and use it to get more donations and show the world what the largest service organization in the world is really doing, and how many thousands of hours, how many hundreds of thousands of people that we interact with and help. That's what that regular reporting is. It needs to be done. Communicate regularly with committee chairs via the vice presidents. A lot of this is a continuation, but it's really important. And then they get back to you as the president. So you have a general idea of what's going on. That's how you know what's happening around. That's how you know some of the issues that might be out there, because your committees are doing whatever. They're having an issue. You know, we're supposed to have the pancake breakfast at this church, and they said, now we can. Oh my God, what are we going to do? You know, well, I guess you just run around and go, oh my God, we're going to die, we're going to die, we're going to die. Well, that doesn't work, okay? And so you're prepared in your meeting because somebody might have another idea. And they might say, well, you know, I just built this 3-car garage. I can take my cars out and we can have it in my garage. It's heated. Okay, sounds good. Keeps you in the loop. Keeps you aware of the progress, problems, and achievements. Keeps the committees focused because they know that they're being watched. Not governed, not controlled, just kind of watched. So they know what's going on. Don't overlook, follow up. Don't just say, okay, well, now I know about it. No, deal with it. It's not, I'll take care of it tomorrow. Well, guess what? Tomorrow never comes. It's like, well, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, it's the next day. Are you going to do that? Well, no, I said I was going to do it tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. Ex officios. So attend at least one meeting. Just because you're the past, okay? In my case, I'm the past governor. I still attend convention. I still attend the meetings. I'm still part of it, okay? Partly because I like it. It's a lot of fun. I enjoy the camaraderie. It's just, it's a great, when you become part of it, kind of grows with you. Ensure elections comply with the Constitution and bylaws. If you ever want to do something wrong, don't do it this way. Because our Constitution and bylaws has a very strict and very explicit way to do your elections. It has to be by secret ballot. You have to have, for convention, every year there has to be a nomination and a second for every one of them. And anytime somebody could be bumped for whatever reason. But that's what the bylaws are for. And so it's like our elections that we have in regular life. There's a way to do them, and it has to be done legally. Oversee the elections or the delegate that's doing the elections. Ensure the process is open and meets the deadlines. Review the Standard Club, Constitution and bylaws, the LA2. There's a lot of information about that in there. Appoint a nomination committee. So It isn't your job as the president to go find your relief. The system is designed that you have the president, first vice, second vice, and in some cases, there's a third vice. And they're all supposed to fleet up as the years go along. But something might happen. Maybe the first vice says, look, I'm having medical conditions, can't do it anymore. So now the second fleets up. Now you don't have a second. Okay. Or your secretary of treasurer said, you know, I'm done. Okay. I don't want to do it anymore. That's what the nomination committee's responsibility for, to go out and find the reliefs for your officers. And then they bring them to the club. And that's where the vote comes down. Okay. Be sure that the people are volunteering for this. It's not tag, you're it. Okay. Because when you get tag, you're it, you get somebody that's not necessarily interested in doing the job. Yeah. Okay. I'll be the second vice. No problem. Yeah. And I'll work my way up. Oh, helium, Martin. That's how I got involved. They didn't have anybody. I went to a training session and they were having issues because they didn't have a second vice. And there was no names. Nobody was doing anything. And I raised my hand and said, I'll do it. Best decision I ever made. Really, truly was. I really enjoyed it. Being governor, you better not say anything to anybody, Karina, but I'd do it again. I had a lot of fun.
Well, whether we say it or not, it's not allowed unless it's an emergency.
I know
but
it.
yeah. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
No, the days are slow and the years go fast. So
Yep, they do.
yeah, I agree.
So
It's been a lot of fun.
So be sure your nomination committee starts months in advance. Okay. This isn't like, oh, we're voting next week. I think we better go find somebody. No, it needs to be well in advance. Submit the slate of candidates, nominations from the floor. Ooh, I misspelled that one, didn't I? Nominations from the floor are permissible.
On the floor.
Should have put a U in there.
Yeah. So, I thought I looked at all this before today, but I guess I didn't. See what happens? All right. So they are permissible. And you do ask that. It isn't like, well, here's our candidates, we're just going to forward. No. Are there any nominations from the floor? Are there any nominations from the floor? Yes, Craig.
I was just raising the hand.
Okay.
You was wanting a nomination.
Nomination. And so the third time, are there any nominations for the floor? There being no nominations from the floor, the slate of candidates is set. That's how it goes. Okay. 3 chances for nominations from the floor. Robert's rules. Hold your election, announce the results after elections. Secretary submits the Lions Club officer report to LCI by May 15th. Okay. And I'll tell you what, trying to get that done by all of our clubs drives my wife crazy. Because sometimes they just don't. For whatever reason. And you're going, why May 15th? You don't install it until July 1st. Well, all of that stuff is software. It all gets put in. And on July 1st, boom. One day you were, next day you're not. One day you weren't, the next day you are. Okay. And that's how it works. Club bulletins and emails. There's got to be a way for you as president to talk to your club members other than at the meeting, to get information out to them, whether it be a club bulletin or an email, whether it be Facebook, or if your club has a Facebook page or its own web page, There's got to be some way for you to do that. If there isn't, try to come up with one. If it's nothing more than having everybody's email address so you can send out an email, then that's how it should work. Okay. But there's got to be a way for you to get a hold of everybody. District activities and newsletters. Get them out there. We try really hard at the district level to try to get this out to everybody. Okay. And try to make it as easy as you can. And it's evolving and it's getting easier, but getting that information out within your club. LCI, LCIF activities. Okay. LCIF specifically because I'm a co-chair for the district. If you're interested in more information, give me a call. I'll come visit the club. Be more than happy to. And so it's kind of like the governor's visit, but same thing, only different. Ensure committee reports to the body and to the club. Let the committees know that each club meeting that they are going to need to do a report. I mean, it's part of the agenda, committee reports, and then all the committees. Okay. You look at the district and then there's all the initials, LCIF and all the other stuff. It's just, was there's like 105 of them, Karina?
At
Anyway,
least it's like alphabet soup.
I know
Yep.
it. It's almost as bad as the military, I'm here to tell you. So ensure that of your committee's reports. And if they do it in writing, be sure that is put as part of your minutes, attached to your minutes. Okay. And it saves the secretary from writing it all down. She'll say, you know, pancake, supper, chair, see attached. So she doesn't have to write a whole paragraph. Publish the club and the minutes. Get it out to everybody. Try to get the minutes out as fast as you can so everybody can see it. And outside your club, establish who will respond to what. Okay. Try to come up with a media person. It's really difficult when nobody knows who to contact. So they just start contacting anybody. So the local paper hears about your food bank and doing something, and they want to know information. So they just start calling people that they know are members of the Lions Club. Well, no, there needs to be a single point of contact so that you know the information is going out is correct. So you as the president need to establish who that is, who is responsible for what, for information that's going out. Your secretary, committee chair, vice president, president, who is that? Okay, maybe you should have a media chair. Okay, be sure you're made aware of all requests for assistance. You need to know what's going on, because if you've got somebody off to the side, okay, that's making all of this happen and you know nothing, okay, I guarantee you're going to be blindsided. Guaranteed. Somebody's going to come out and start getting in your face over something and you're going, what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea. And then you're going to find out some committee chair was talking to the press about something and they shouldn't have. Follow up with the responder. Okay. If that happens, get back together with them and try to get it all squared away. Don't wait. That's one of those things. Appoint a good public relations chair. PR is important because your community doesn't know what you're doing unless you tell them what's going on. Okay. And so you've got to have some way of getting that information out, whether it be maybe the community has its own Facebook page, or something like that. Okay. LCI website for sample press releases, public service announcements. They have a whole department that's dedicated to this kind of stuff. And you can get all kinds of good stuff from them. University Lions course, public relations. Okay. Send articles and pictures to the local news media. I don't know of a lot of papers that don't like local, what's the term I'm looking for? Floral stuff. I mean, you know, good things happening within the community. They like that kind of stuff. So send articles, pictures, let the local media do some of that public relations for you. Create a website or Facebook page. Okay. Ours is getting a lot better. E-Clubhouse, Twitter, Instagram, whatever you want to use. Everybody's different. Each clubs are different. It isn't all just Facebook or TikTok or Twitter or Instagram anymore. But pick one that works for your club, that most everybody can use. Members look to the president for leadership. Okay? You're the top of that pyramid. This includes guidance, motivation and help, solving problems, build a shared vision among club members. Know where you're going and what you're doing. Okay? If you exude that, then you're doing great. Guide, encourage members towards reaching club goals and personal goals. That would be at your committee meetings for what's going on in the committees. Provide leadership opportunities. You know, let people know, hey, we have room at the top. You know, if you're interested in doing this, please, by all means, come forward. Be aware of leadership training like this. You know, if you've got somebody that might be interested in being president someday, we're going to be doing this again at convention. Show up. It'll be in person as opposed to Zoom. Encourage attendance at training. Okay. Obviously, if they want it, they're going to have to attend. Develop a mentoring program. And we talked a little bit about that earlier. Have the older members, the ones that know a lot more about what's going on, help those younger members. Okay. It's really frustrating to get a new member and then they just sit around and do nothing because they don't have a clue. Okay. Somebody needs to be with them to help them on. That's what the sponsor is for in membership, is to help them along. Every member has an important role to play. Absolutely. When I was the president of my club, we started looking at past members. And it was surprising the number of people in this town that used to be members of the Lions Club. And I went to a couple of them. I said, you know, why aren't you still members of the club? They said, they wouldn't let us do anything. We joined. After a couple of months, we didn't do anything, so we quit. Put the new ones to work. Get them involved in what's going on. Every member has an important role to play. Lead by example. Okay? Be the leader that they're looking to see. MontanaLions.org. Anything you want to know in Lions is on MontanaLions.org. I started this when I was governor. I started this because I had the hardest time trying to figure out where to go, what to see, how many passwords did I have to use, you know, and I got really tired of it. MontanaLions.org. You can go anywhere in Lions off of that one webpage. It's all you need to know. MontanaLions.org. It's all there. Past presidents, officers, experienced Lions. Okay? Talk to them. Talk to past governors. Okay? Talk to past zone chairs. Talk to the current zone chairs, the current governor. I can guarantee you, our governor that we have right now would be more than happy to talk to you about what's going on in your club, okay, and help give you advice. I know that for a fact. Right along with their first and second vices, okay. They know what's going on, okay, and a past governor. Call me. I'm more than happy to help, okay. Global membership team. This is all the GMT, GLT, you know. I had the hardest time trying to remember all those things when I was governor. Okay. But they're all places to go to help you with, get information or help you with an issue that you might be having. And a vast majority of them would be more than happy to come visit your club to help you through. I know I would. And I know the current governor is too. Lions Learning Center. God, I got so tired of typing that. Lions Learning Center. Folks, USA Canada Forum, bachelor's program. Just go do it. It's not a big deal. It's really easy. Great information. Organize records. Meet and transfer. Meet with new officers. Okay. Discuss transitional projects. You're the new president. Get together with your old president or the outgoing one. Meet with them. Discuss any projects that are currently going on in the club that are going to transfer into your commitment. So you know what's going on. Maybe you weren't part of it to start with. Okay. That way the project won't hiccup. Ensure proper communications for ongoing projects. You know, we're just rehashing some of the stuff. Okay. Recognize your Lions and others for their hard work and dedication. I don't know how many times I've heard, no, I don't. I'm fine. You don't need to give me a medal or a certificate or anything like that. But I'm here to tell you, when you do, when it's all over, and you've given somebody that appreciation letter or a plaque or whatever, it means something. They say they didn't want it, but they got it anyway. They appreciate it. Melvin Jones Fellowship. That's the highest honor that you can give somebody. If you don't have the money for a Melvin Jones, give me a call. I will help you. I have money for your Melvin Jones. Okay? Because giving away a Melvin Jones, my club didn't even know what a Melvin Jones was. And now they do. And now my current club president is going, who do I give it to? Mr. President, that's your decision, not mine. He wants to give one. He says, can I give out two? You can give out as many as you want, as we have money for. It's up to you. But the recognition that you get from a Melvin Jones is unflippin' believable. That's the best you can do. But it doesn't have to be just a Melvin Jones or a progressive. You can give plaques. You can get letters. You can give pins. You give me money, LCIF, I'm going to give you a contribution member pin. You can wear it on your lapel. District awards. Governor will be doing that here really soon, figuring out who's getting what. Club awards, that's up to you. You go to LCIF supplies or LCI supplies, and there is so many plaques and medals and coins and certificates, unbelievable, that you can get. Okay. And that's admin money that you have control over to buy those things. But get them a couple months in advance, because towards the end of the year, they get busy. All righty. How about that? Just about out of time. Review objectives, duties of your position, how to plan your year, leadership, expectations, where to find resources, how to enjoy your year. Well, I hope I covered everything. And there's a whole lot more. I hope this helped. And if it did nothing more than jog your mind, that you might need some further information, I'm more than happy to help. I know the governor is more than happy to help. We have resources out there for you. Are there any questions? Because you didn't have any during. You just let me ramble on.
So Mike,
Yes.
I sent you the names and emails of everyone that attended tonight.
Okay.
So if you'd like to communicate with them or share any links or other information, you can do that.
Awesome.
I have a question, Mike.
Yes.
Couple of things. You mentioned the president working to with other people in the board, committee chairs and vice presidents, and the president working through vice presidents to the committee chairs. But to fill those committee chair positions, is it appropriate for the president to do those things on his own or offline, or is it typically done in the meetings or with others present?
You can do all the above, Mike. It's your responsibility. What I'm suggesting as far as the meetings and chairs are concerned, having your vices involved helps them as they're coming up to be the club president. It keeps you from having to do all of it yourself. If you want to do it all yourself, you go for it, sir. Okay. It can make you a very busy presidency trying to keep up with all the committees that I know are in that club that you're in. Okay. But it's totally up to you. If you feel you are a lot more involved by visiting these committees, then you do so.
How about as far as the board and like the secretary and treasurer, is it typically appropriate for the president or the incoming president, if he knows those positions need to be filled, to go out and start seeking out
Sure.
an appropriate person that may be willing to do it?
Absolutely.
Instead of sending a blanket email to the whole club and no one responding.
Yep.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm more effective talking to somebody one-on-one.
Yep.
And
And you're probably going to get more response by talking to somebody in person.
Mhm.
Okay. Because they may do it because you ask them. Okay. But the name needs to go to the nomination committee.
Right.
Okay. Because they're the ones that are responsible for it. Okay. They're the ones that are going to take a look at everything going, yep, that's a good member. Okay. And so absolutely. Yeah. You can do as much or as little. If you do nothing and let your nomination committee do their job, you may not like what they come up with. But if the nomination committee knows that, Mary Beth would like to be the secretary, and that's who I recommend. Okay, they may just put Mary Beth down and not even worry about looking for a secretary because this is one that you have picked.
Right.
Absolutely, you can do that, Mike. No problem.
Okay, another question I had was on the Melvin Jones. Do you have specific criteria that you use as a
Nope.
guide for a president to give a Melvin Jones?
Nope. It's totally up to you.
Okay.
I mean, it can be a new member, it can be an old member, it can be a member that did something specifically and they did just a fabulous job of doing it. It might be somebody that's just been there for 50 years and has just been a steady person. You feel they're deserving. It's your decision.
And your club, actually, it can be done different ways. So in our club, it's not the president's decision. It's a committee that is basically the existing Melvin Jones fellows that decide where the Melvin Jones is going. So it's not a requirement that it's the president that decides. It's how your club does it.
Hadn't thought about that, but that would work too.
Yep.
That sounds real good, Mike. Thanks for that. And one other thing, not to draw this out any longer, but Have you heard of any of the other clubs having board insurance, like all the members of the board having some kind of insurance?
No,
So
I haven't, but you can. There is insurance out there that you can get to cover them. I mean, for a club that's maybe your size with the kind of money that you folks have, you might want to look into, I forget what it's called.
it's board, yeah, basically,
Okay, yeah, then I would recommend getting that. Yeah,
it's not a bad idea because let's say, you know, you have that big ballpark there, or the big park with the ballpark in it.
Yes, sir.
Somebody gets injured at the ballpark. Well, the way people sue nowadays is they shotgun, you know, the lawyers shotgun
Right.
everybody that's
everybody.
involved. And technically they could sue your board of directors of your club, not just your, you know, not just your club. So not a bad idea, and it's not super expensive. But you can do a Google search for, you know, board member insurance
Yeah, I've heard Lions
liability.
Koto might have the info on that. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll look into that. Okay, well, thanks for all this, guys. It's real helpful.
Well, glad you can make it, Mike. Appreciate it. Any other questions? All righty. Well, thanks for coming. You can get a hold of me. My information's on montanalions.org.
Favorite.
And if you're interested in an LCIF visit, give me a call. I'm more than happy to come out.
Thanks again.
All righty, Mike, thanks for coming. So, Craig, where are you at?
I am based out of Gillette, Wyoming.
Okay,
So, but I reside over in Gillette, or
Okay.
Rosette. I'm sorry, little
Yeah.
community just east of Gillette, about 14 miles.
I might be willing to come down that far. I don't know, maybe.
Well, you know, it was raining here tonight. We just had snow. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, we got hit with snow, and then it came into 15, 20 below, and it was cold for 5 days.
Well, I'll just stay up here in my 60 degrees for right now.
That's what I was kind of figuring, you know, is that you guys got that nice, but it kind of filters around from up there to here.
I know it.
You know, I don't even I haven't, like when I mentioned to you early, Michael, I haven't stayed in touch with Verna since my term was done because she kind of left before her term was done.
Yeah.
And the only other person you had up there was your international director.
Oh,
Lion Dad Dave Haney.
Yeah. Yep. And he came down. He came down to Jackson Hole when we had the international directors come out to Jackson Hole, Wyoming, for their international director meeting. Of course,
That was a big deal. That
and
was a
it
big
was
deal.
a big deal. I mean, I
Mhm.
got to meet some really influential people, and I got along with them really well. In fact, the year before that happened, I actually met Brian Sheehan before he became our international president. And
Yeah,
what
you
a
would have been a
super nice-
director then. Mhm.
or international director, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the fun thing about getting into this.
And it was, you know,
Yeah, okay.
but in my term, I was the first district governor that actually had to call for a Zoom meeting, and that's how I held my state convention was via Zoom. And I'm not trying to make my head sound like big, but with all the discussions and the people I went, you guys know what your agenda is like for a state convention, what you do. It could be a half a day morning, or it could be part of a Friday afternoon, some in the morning, maybe some in the afternoon. And I pushed that whole convention in 4.5 hours. We went through so many details. And it was just a quick yes or no. I was getting answers from people. I need to call a vote, need a motion. Is there a second? Any other discussion? And I was like, had my convention done on Zoom in 4.5 hours.
Yep.
And I had people call me and say, you were just quick at going through it. Says, there's no need to waste time. We got other things we all got to do. So,
Yep.
Okie dokie. Well, my
I have-
time is
I
up.
I have one more question.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Are all of these Zoom meetings going to be, or these presentations being recorded to where they can be reviewed, like on the website or something like that? They can be posted.
Yes. They're usually on YouTube.
Okay. We'll find them. Good
Now,
deal.
you want another, you're willing to spend another hour and a half listening to me rant and rave?
Well, I want it for some other people in the club.
Oh, okay, that'll work.
Especially the one from last night, the overview.
Follow-on training.
You gotta
Yeah.
give us,
There you
you
go.
give us a little time. It'll take probably me a couple of weeks to just slightly edit them, and
Okay.
we'll put them up. We have a YouTube, we put them on YouTube, but we have links on the MontanaLions.org website, right, Mike?
Yep.
Correct.
So, Mr. Delaney, if you're interested, do the secretary's training.
Yeah.
And my wife does. Do that one. It's for a president. It would be really educational to
Right.
know what it is that the secretary has to do. And it may give you some insight of other places you can go and do, because she'll actually go on the portal. So,
Right.
If we have a board meeting tomorrow night at 6 for
do you?
Annis.
Okay.
So if we rock and roll through that meeting, we might be able to make it by 7, but
Well, good luck with that.
yeah.
We'll
It
see.
should be quicker. It should be quicker than the last couple though.
Right.
Right?
Woo.
All righty.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks
everybody.
for coming. I
Thanks
appreciate
everybody.
it.
Appreciate you.
Mhm.
Thank
Have
you.
a good one.
Bye-bye. Thanks, Kim.
Bye-bye.